Hey everybody, Blair Nightingale here. Market Monday coming at you. I am excited about today's topic. I'm excited about today's topic because I'm going to talk about this more as we go further in, but I am actually going to teach a 2-day Tradeway course, and I'm going to give you guys a big preview into that today. This is not something that I get to do very often. And you guys, many of you have been with me on here in some cases for years. You've seen many Market Mondays. We've been able to teach. We get a little bit of time every Monday to give you guys some value, show you what this is all about, stock trading. But we're going to do a deep dive together. And where we're going to start today, we're going to finish that off in the course. So I want to jump in today and just tell you, I am excited because this is going to be something that I get to do with you guys that we haven't really been able to do before. So that's extremely cool. I'm going to show you some things today that is going to speak directly to what we put on the title of today's session. Remember, we are here 6 p.m. Central Standard Time every Monday night teaching you. That's the purpose. Teaching you how to navigate what is stock trading. Can I do it? Maybe you don't know anything about it. Maybe you've been very interested, right? We've talked about a lot of this stuff. If you've been with us any point along the way now, we've been doing this show for over 2 years. We are here to equip you to say, yes, you can. No matter where you are today, no matter what you know about the markets, it can be something that you and your family can learn how to do. And in 2022, the potential benefits for you and I of learning how to trade in the stock market, because we can use simple tools that our smartphones and our computers have allowed us to do. It's revolutionized how we can do this. Wouldn't it be nice to get some skills, to feel confident that you could have potentially, you could have an at-home stock trading business. You could have a little side hustle, right? Different people have different goals, paying that phone bill, paying that car payment, paying that mortgage. Some people want to get out of their job entirely. And they're saying, is it possible? Blair, I know you can't give me a guarantee, but is it possible? Has it been done? Right? We want to show you the skill sets that professionals use to stock trade. That's what this is all about. So when the title says, why learning to stock trade is easier and less scary than you might think, that's exactly what we mean, because stock trading does not have to be complicated. You do not have to feel intimidated, and you don't have to feel like it's a scary thing. We're going to talk about that today. So how can I get rid of those feelings? Intimidated, complicated, scary. Some of you guys have been here for a while, right? And those are the questions you still have. Now, I'm going to pause there for 2 seconds. I can see the chat is lighting up today. Benjamin is out there. Run the race, Mark Derby on board, as well as Endel. I haven't seen you on here for a while either, Endel, so that's good to see you. Benjamin, of course, glad to see you too. Mark, thanks for chiming in there. If anybody out there wants to say hello, let me know where you're at, where you're coming from. And of course, asking questions along the way, as I always say, please light up the chat. Even if it's not specifically what we're talking about, you can ask me a question about stocks. It's a great place to do it. But obviously, as the title suggests here today, that's what I wanted you guys to know logging on. Why? Why is learning stock trading likely, right? We have different people on here at different levels. A lot of you wouldn't consider yourself at any level of stock trading yet, right? You haven't learned anything, right? Some of you have started. You've been connected to Tradeway for a bit. Some of you are just curious. Some of you are watching by recording right now. And you're going, I would love to think, right? I would love to believe that I could be confident and actually be a consistent stock trader. But I don't know if that's possible. It sounds like guessing. It sounds like gambling. So let me go into this show today and show you that there are really, really good and simple things, reasons why you and I can be confident that no matter where you're at, you too can learn to stock trade. Okay. So I like to start these off with a couple of questions. Questions help us, they help us know where we're at. Okay. So let me just ask you this. Do you think, right? I said we're talking to a group of people, okay, today. Do you think that stock trading is complicated? Ask yourself that question right now, right? Put it in the chat. Let me know how you think. Let me know how you feel. Do you think that stock trading is super complicated? Listen, if you think stock trading is super complicated, then you're probably here today because you're interested in the potential earnings, right, for stock trading, but maybe not super motivated, or you don't feel very confident, because if it's really complicated, well, that's kind of slowing us down, right? How much time is this going to take me to learn? How intricate is this going to be? I don't know if I really want to risk any money if it's really complicated and it's really hard, right? So ask yourself that question. We're just kind of getting an idea of where we're at tonight. Do you feel like it's super complicated? Remember, I just said why learning to stock trade is easier and less scary than you think. So you can see where I might be going with this. But let's ask ourselves that question. All right, let's ask ourselves another question. What about math? Right? What about math? Let me tell you guys a secret. I was playing a game last night with some members of my family. Okay. Playing a game, adding up the scores. Anybody out there ever played Yahtzee? Yahtzee, classic game. Whether you've played it or not, you've got, maybe 20 slots on this scorecard. You've got to write in your scores as you're rolling these dice and you're adding them up. It's pretty basic addition. And no doubt I can do it, but I'm a little bit slower. Math's never really been my strong suit. And I'm using what? A good old calculator, right? A few of us were, not all of us. Some of us are better at it than others. What am I saying? I'm saying I'm an active stock trader. I've learned this system. I teach this system. I'm not great at math. Now I'm competent, but I'm not great at math. Okay. So do you ask yourself, I probably need to be good with numbers? And that seems like a pretty reasonable thought, doesn't it? I ought to probably be pretty good at numbers if I'm going to do something with finance, if I'm going to do something with stock trading, right? So that's another question that's worth looking at. Okay. Do I need to understand economics? Do I need to understand economic metrics and trends in the economy, right? In corporate earnings? How many of us out there does hearing the words economic metrics and trends in and of itself intimidates or just maybe bores you, right? It puts you to sleep. So even thinking these terms is like, oh my goodness, these are so complicated or convoluted, or okay. Do you think, here's another question, just running down these are important. Do you think that anyone, you, of course, right? That's what I'm getting at. Do you think that anyone, including you, could learn how great traders, professional traders, right? Can anyone learn how professional traders make great buying and selling decisions on stocks? Ask yourself, could I learn? Now, you may not know if I can do that for you or not yet, but it's worth asking yourself the question, because we've got to know, do you even think it's possible? Well, if you don't, I'm going to change your mind today, right? And if you do think it's possible, then you ought to learn how. You ought to learn how it's possible, what to buy, when to sell, right? These are the things that we can learn how to do, but how complicated do we think that is? Because if we've never really looked at or learned stock trading, but we automatically, before we even look at it, tell ourselves limiting statements and limiting beliefs. It's not possible. It's probably complicated. I bet it's super hard. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not a business person. I don't know anything about it. I heard somebody lost money. It scares me. Go down the list. If we just speak those statements to ourselves and let that be the end of the story, then Henry Ford was right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Now, do we need to take another step? Yes, we do. Because we actually have to learn, well, okay, Blair, if those statements I'm making aren't correct, well, then what are you suggesting? Well, I'm suggesting that learning stock trading is easier and less scary than you think. And I'm going to show you that today. But knowing where you're at as we start is so important. And I'm not going to give you a crystal ball promise. Right? These aren't lofty crystal ball promises that we can learn to tell the future. Okay? If anybody tells you that, you know you're not in good company because nobody can do that. Right? But by the Holy Spirit. But that is not the stock trading skill. Okay? I'm also not going to give you unrealistic statements that lacked context. I'm going to show you a specific skill set that is a step-by-step system. Okay? We show families all over the United States how to get started reaching their financial goals. Okay? Reaching their financial goals with stock trading. That is what we do at Tradeway every day. Okay. This is something that we do every day. And it's not, as I know a lot of you know that I like to say, it's not guessing. Stock trading is not guessing. Stock trading is not gambling, right? Stock trading is not throwing darts at a board and hoping that we've picked correctly. That's not what stock trading is. So you don't have to feel like your money, the best that we can do with your money is guess. Okay. We can do better than that. And I'm going to convince you that it's not as hard as many people think it is. Now, a lot of people think it's hard because they don't have a skill set, because it just seems mysterious. It seems unfamiliar. So let's break through some of that, okay? But there's some answers coming in here. About 3 years ago, Endel says, about 3 years ago, yeah, I thought it was pretty complicated, pretty hard. But I'm going to put this up here. Currently, after learning from the Tradeway family, no. And I mean, isn't there just something extremely fundamental about what he's saying to us? Extremely basic. Something we can all relate to on some level, right? Maybe for some of us, this doesn't need to be said. If you're like me, it does need to be said. And that is, we were uncomfortable with something. We didn't think something happened, could happen, would happen. We didn't think we could do something, but the reason we thought that is because we were untrained and unfamiliar. Those are the only things. I have this actually later. I was going to talk about this a little bit, but we really have to ask ourselves in any area of life good questions about, am I not doing something because it's impossible, because it's unlikely, or am I not doing something because it's unfamiliar? Those are two completely different things. And you know what you'll see people do is they'll reject something because it's unfamiliar, thinking that the reason they're doing it is because it's unlikely. But a lot of times, as Endel's pointing out here, as you get to know something, get familiar with something, spend time around people who are actually doing the thing that you want to learn how to do, that familiarity is empowering. And it disempowers fear and it disempowers folly because you have wisdom, courage, support, skills. And now the things that didn't seem likely or possible for you are becoming possible. And if you had thought they were impossible, you never would have started. So recognizing, yeah, this is uncomfortable for me, but it's because it's unfamiliar. So then the antidote is to get familiar. Get familiar with stock trading. If you're excited about the potential, maybe you've heard about what somebody's done in the stock market. You have a family member, you have a friend, you've heard about Tradeway. You've seen, people are posting online. Maybe some of you heard about a specific stock or a cryptocurrency. All these things. Investing is such a huge part of our cultural conversation right now because the internet has changed everything, you guys. COVID came. I've talked about this on Market Monday lots. COVID came and people are looking for something different, something new. right? Something that is going to be there every day in some of these unfamiliar and turbulent times. So this is not on the outside. This is something that's become a front and center conversation. And we got to get we got to get rid of that unfamiliarity and move into a place of familiarity. But we also got to have to talk specifically, right? Because we can't get familiar talking in generality. So I'm going to give you a few basic things, but powerful things. That's actually good. You hear basic, you go, oh, basic. I wish it was more complicated, right? And that goes in the face of what we've just talked about. No, these things are very basic. And that is good news for you and I, because just because they're basic doesn't mean they don't have high impact. See, we want high impact, easy to understand, high impact. That's what we want. I'm going to show you some easy to understand, but high impact things right now that actually prove it is easier to learn this and it is less scary than you may have thought. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull a chart up here. Now, first things first, you may have seen this before. You may have never seen this. And the good news is that I don't even need to give a bunch of details about what we're looking at here. Okay. It's not going to take anybody long at all. I'm going to tell you a few key pieces of information and you'll know exactly how to use the tool that I'm showing you right now. But I want to tell you, I said the phone, the computer, it's changed everything. It's changed everything. So what can you and I do? You and I can go into a stock and look at what I've done here. I've already put these lines on. Look what this stock did. It came into this bottom area. It went up to this top. Came into this bottom, went up to this top. Came into this bottom. And even what happened here, the stock fell. What do these lines do? What do these lines do? Let's look over here. Now, I know some of you who've been with me on Market Monday for a long time, you've seen this, but I really want to hit this. We are teaching stock trading from the foundation. You got to hear me on this piece. The foundation that making buying and selling decisions, deciding what's a good stock for you, what's a good stock for your money, right? It's based on finding patterns, right? We have different patterns. This is what we call an uptrend. What does it do? Peaks and valleys, I like to call it. There's a peak, there's a valley, there's a peak, there's a valley, there's a peak, there's a valley, right? There's a peak, not as high. And this is a pattern we're going to show you how to find. Look at what the market has been doing for a long time. It's been in a specific pattern. I showed you this one, which is a similar. Now I got to go back to this guy right here. Look at that. It's a similar pattern. It's just not doing it upwards like this one is. Here, watch me draw this. I'm going to go from right here. I'm going to do that. Every time this stock comes down and hits that line, it bounces up. And every time it comes down and hits this line, it bounces up. Now the patterns change. Every so often they change. But you and I need to understand this. That stock trading, I'm going to remove the screen for a minute so you can focus on me. Stock trading that we teach is not about microeconomics, macroeconomics, news, stock picks, newsletters, complicated math, et cetera, et cetera. It's based on patterns where you and I can have zero background in economics whatsoever. And we can come in and learn how to find these patterns and then use them to make good investing decisions. I just showed you patterns with 2 lines. When it hits the one line, it can tell us, this stock could be ready to buy. It hits the other line, oh, this stock could be ready to sell. That is revolutionary. And the software that I'm showing you, the screen I just showed you, I'm sorry, let me do this one. There we go. That is as simple as clicking a button and going to a web page, right? That's all you and I have to do. That's all you and I have to do. So is it as complicated as we thought? Well, maybe not. Some of us needed to be reminded of patterns. Some of us have never heard that before. And if you're on today and you've been with us for a while and you say, yes, this was revolutionary to me, but I've learned this. All right. I've been doing this for a little while. This is really geared towards those who haven't started yet and really you can, but you haven't. Maybe there's some fear. Maybe there's some unfamiliarity. Maybe it just wasn't the right time for you. Okay. But if you're on here and you are further along, then there's probably somebody in your life who needs to hear this, right? You can send this along to them as well. Tag their name, send them the link. We're on YouTube, on Facebook. You can just tag a person's name and it'll send the video over. That is something that they need to hear because patterns are something we can all find. There's something we can all find. And once we learn how to use the pattern and once we learn multiple patterns, right? I just showed you quickly 2 examples. There's more patterns than that, right? So when we learn how to find these, it changes everything. You say, well, wait a second. Don't I need to know the earnings report? Don't I need to know who the CEO is? Don't I have to have some information on whether or not the company's going to make more money next year than they did this year? And so on and so on and so on. For stock trading, that is not the primary information that we need. We are going to look for patterns. And that's so important and exciting for you and I to hear because it changes what we think stock trading even is. From something that's complicated, convoluted, difficult, elitist in some ways, right? It's for a few people who kind of understand that, but maybe not so much for me. And it makes it something that we can all do. And it really is. Those of you on here or in the program can vouch for this. It really is the foundation of what we do. This isn't just a statement I'm making today. We are using patterns every single day. That is how we do this. Do we add a few things to that? Sure, I'm going to talk about more of that right now. But the foundation is patterns. And this is how we say we don't gamble. We don't guess. We don't just go for it. We don't throw darts at a board because we're already looking at that's a great opportunity. I see a great pattern and I know what to do with that. And we can train you to be that confident. That is something that we do here at Tradeway every day. And you can look at another stock and go, nope, not a good opportunity for me. And you may think, I didn't know I would ever be that confident, but you can be. You can say, nope, yep. And isn't that exactly what we want? The opportunities for you and I are massive. And this is a very simple way to start going down that road, right? And it's not complicated. Here's the second thing I would say. Most people who want to or do trade or invest money in the stock market, they don't learn how to protect their money. They know there's an opportunity, but they know just enough to be dangerous. They know that they can open a brokerage account and put some money in the market and maybe even make a little money here and there, but they don't know how to protect their money over time because they didn't learn any skills. They didn't learn how to manage risk with their money. Because a lot of us, it's not that it seems too complicated necessarily. It's just that it seems too risky, right? Stock trading just seems risky. How many of us want to take our hard-earned money and gamble it away in the market? Now, I already said true stock trading, right? Stock trading is not gambling. We can gamble in the market. People do it every day. That's my point. But that's not what stock trading is. I showed you patterns. Patterns are a massive way to start taking any guesswork out of trading, okay? But people also will start to trade and they don't learn any skills, specifically and especially they don't learn how to manage the risks, right? They don't learn how to manage the risks. So here's one thing we do. We teach you how to keep any losses that you have in the stock market. Even professionals take losses, okay? It may sound shocking that I might say that it's not abnormal. In other words, it's normal to experience some losses in the stock market, okay? That is normal. That's like a business expense, right? Businesses will spend some money, right? What's the goal though? Well, we make more than we spend, right? That's a successful business. All businesses spend money. That's not abnormal. But we want to make more than we spend. So we've got to keep any expenses we have in the stock market small. If you and I don't learn how to do that, then we don't, what we like to say, live to trade another day. It becomes too risky. And that is why a lot of us wisely decide, you know what, this isn't for me. This isn't for me because I don't want to lose my money in the market, right? None of us want to lose our money in the market. So what we can do is learn to keep losses, expenses small. How? Well, let me give you something right now. I've talked about this before on Market Monday, but again, a lot of you have never heard this. There's a simple little tool we call a stop loss. It's a stop loss. It's amazing to me how many people have thought about trading, investing in the stock market. Maybe they have a Robinhood account on their phone, or they have a broker, somebody who helps them execute trades in the stock market. They buy a little bit here and there, but they've never heard of a stop loss. Now, the name implies what? It implies what it does. It stops the loss. What this is this is an automatic order. You and I buy a stock right here, and we go ahead and we put an automatic order in right there. And if the stock comes down to that level, what does it do? Kicks us out of the trade, right? It stops us out of the trade. Now, listen, everybody's got to hear this. You say, man, Blair, this is basic. Okay. Now, some of you, this is the first time you ever heard it, right? And you know I'm speaking to you. But some of us are like, man, this is basic. And that's my point. That's my point. This stuff can be so basic. But think about the two things I just told you. If you don't know anything about this and I just tell you those two things, you know how far ahead of everybody else you already could be? Tremendously far. Because now you're narrowing down your decisions to good opportunities. And when you take good opportunities, you're defining your risk. And you're not going to lose any more in the trade than you decide to when you go into the trade, right? Now, I'm not saying you're guaranteed to lose, but you have that stop loss in and it goes against you. That's what happens. Sometimes businesses have expenses, kicks you out of the trade. And you didn't even know it existed. I've been saying this for weeks on Market Monday. What you don't know can hurt you, right? That's true for me. That's true for you. So we want to know more. We want to learn. And that's a simple tool. That's something practical, but it's not complicated. I know that because, again, somebody out there tonight, somebody out there is going, this is too basic for me. Well, that stands as a reminder to say to all of us that this doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to be that scary. You say, yeah, Blair, I don't really know what that means. How do I put that order in? What's the actual practical steps? Well, that's something I'm going to teach you. That's something I'm going to teach you, but I want you to know what it is. I just want you to know what it is because we're changing the way we're thinking, whether we think we can or we think we can't, we're right. So let's take our mindset, use some practical examples so we can get out of thinking that we can't and we can get into thinking that we can, because if we think we can, then we will pursue it. And if it's possible, which I believe it is, everybody here at Tradeway believes that, then we're on the right track to something totally new. That's the potential for our families and our financial future. Here's another thing I'm going to say. A lot of us, it's scary and seems hard because we learn all alone, even with books. I got a book right here beside me, right? There's all kinds of books, Amazon, online. It's the information age. You can go online. You can watch all kinds of videos. You can YouTube videos on stock trading. You're watching a video on YouTube about stock trading right now. Some of you are on Facebook. But this is a journey. This is a process. And the process is safer. It certainly has a high potential of being much faster and much less scary. Safer, lose less, right? Better results. That's the hope. Faster. Where do I want to go? Our friend Myron says further, faster with less work. Who doesn't want that? We're not talking about cutting corners, but there are ways to go further, faster with less work. If we what? Don't learn alone. Don't learn alone. That's my whole point here, right? So many people are doing it on their own. Ask yourself, what if stock trading isn't just something that other people do? What if it's something that could be for you? What if it's going to be one of the defining pivots in your story? Right now, you have a story. You have a financial story. It doesn't make up all of who you are. We don't believe that here at Tradeway at all. But it is an important part of your story and your family's story and the goals you have and the dreams you have and some of the problems that you have. And we want to help be a pivot point for you in that story. And what if this is that pivot point? And what if you don't have to do that on your own? What if you don't have to figure it out on your own? What if you have a place to ask questions? What if you have a safe place to practice? What if you have a safe place to pray? Because we do that around stock trading. At Tradeway, we don't believe that our faith is disconnected from our finances. None of us, I've been around Tradeway for 6+ years, but I've actually been part of the team, right, for probably 4 of those. So we definitely bring the Lord into everything we do. This is not something you have to do alone. And I always ask people, as David said, keep the Lord always before me. Keep the Lord always before me. What does he want to say to you about this? That was my story back in 2016. So that's certainly an important thing for everybody to be aware of. We don't have to do it alone. That includes us. That includes the Lord. So we always got to ask ourselves, I'm going back to something. Remember I said earlier, I said I was going to say this a little later. We got to ask ourselves, is this something I think is unreliable? Or is this something I think is unfamiliar? And do I really know the difference right now? Right? Because if it's unfamiliar, then I can get familiar. And that could be huge for you, right? If it's unreliable, well, here's what I would challenge you with. If it feels unreliable, I'm going to give you an opportunity to spend a couple of days with us learning our entire system, right? And I would say you owe it to yourself even. You owe it to yourself to come spend that time with me, some other folks at Tradeway. We're going to teach you the system. We're going to practice. We're going to paper trade. We're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to give everybody tons of opportunities to ask questions and look at some actual trades, go through our system, and then decide for yourself just how unstable that feels. Because I believe by the end of that time, you're going to feel like this is really something we can do. This is really something we can do if you're not feeling that already, because most of the time, 99% of the time, somebody is coming to a place to say, you know what, this just feels unfamiliar. And now that the unfamiliarity is removed, I feel empowered to do something that I couldn't do. I couldn't do prior to that. I'm actively trading in the best stock market on the planet Earth, and that's the US stock market. It's the best market. It has the best companies. It has the best infrastructure. It makes it as easy as possible for you and I to use the tools. It is a huge, huge opportunity. Let's see. Benjamin says, truth bombs, take out elbow. It's good to have you on here, man. Good to have you on here. Let me say this. 2021, think about this last year, everybody. Maybe you weren't actively trading. Maybe you were just watching the markets. You saw it on news every now and then. Maybe you have an investment advisor that's taking care of some long-term investments for you, your 401k, your retirement account of any kind. Last year, the S&P 500 returned, right? This is how much growth it had. 26.61. So almost 27% in the year. 27%. If we had just parked our money in the S&P and not touched it for the year, we'd have made 30% on that investment, almost. I said 26.61, right? That's what we would have made, okay? This year, it's down more than 5%. Now, we're early in the year yet, right? I'm not making a projection for 2022, but I'm saying it's down, right? The NASDAQ already this year was very close to a bear market, which is down 20% from the recent high, right? It didn't quite make 20%. It was about 18. But we're seeing some very, very sloppy conditions out there. And there are some factors in our economy that are changing. These are not opinions that I have, okay? These are real factors that are changing where we're headed economically. You guys have seen our inflation. Now, you don't, maybe I already said we don't need to understand economics, but you and I can pretty much understand this, can't we? Are things getting more expensive right now? Are they getting rapidly more expensive? That is true. Well, that is inflation. Things are changing. So you and I have to know what's going on. And what this is going to help you know, let's go ahead and put this back on here. Let's go in here. We're looking at the S&P. This is the market. This is the stock market, you guys, right here. And look what we got. We got this little line here. We came, we hit the line, and we dropped. We came, we hit the line, and we dropped. We came, we hit the line, and we dropped. So where are we headed? Where are we headed? Okay, we just hit levels 2 weeks ago. This guy right here, this price right down there. Okay, 42.21. We hit that level. We haven't dropped that far from the high since COVID. Okay, this has been pretty interesting. This was the worst January of trading, worst January in the market since 2009. 2009. 2008 was pretty significant. Most of us on here probably remember 2008. Now, I'm not predicting that it's going to be like 2008 this year, but I am saying the conditions are changing. And you and I not only want to know what a skill set can do for us in terms of growth, but we want to know what it can do for us in terms of protection. You and I do not have to be afraid of the market and the economy changing, right? We don't have to be afraid of that. It's a journey. It's a journey, but that's one that we take people on every day because you can feel confident that you know what's going on and what you want to do as the market changes. But without a skill set, we can't do that, right? With unfamiliarity, we can't do that. So we've got to get familiar. We've got to get a skill set. And you know what? Tradeway provides an opportunity to do that for an extremely low investment. This is a high return, low investment. I'm popping it in the chat right now. This is our step 1 Start Your Journey course. We're going to teach the foundation of our entire course. And the difference here this time around is I don't normally teach these step 1s. Now, I have in the past, but I don't normally get to do this. This time I do. And that is going to be this Friday. If you're watching live, if you're on the recording, it's going to be this Friday. This recording is from February 7th, 2022. So this Friday, I will be teaching the step 1. You can click the link in the comment box. YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. I put it in both. For less than $100, okay, less than $100, you can come and join us for 2 days. I am going to show you the Tradeway system. We're going to take guessing, gambling, and going for it out of it. You're not going to do it alone. You're going to know how to manage risk. You're going to know what a good opportunity is, and that means you're also going to know what a bad opportunity is so you can skip them in the future. And who's to say that you can't have your own stock trading business at home? Open your laptop, use your smartphone, boom. You are doing something that maybe you never thought you were going to do, but you realize it's actually just unfamiliar. But let me see what this is all about. That's a pretty high return, pretty low investment. We certainly appreciate you guys spending 2 days with us. We know that that in and of itself is an investment, but we always make it worth it. So click on that link, join us, see what this can do for you. For some of you guys out there, you say, you know what? I need to brush up on the fundamentals. I need to brush up on the foundation. Go ahead, click the link, join up, come and see us. Join us in the step 1 as well. I want to see you guys all there this Friday and Saturday. It's 2 days. We're going to go through it and it's going to be awesome. Okay, guys, that is why. That is why I believe that learning stock trading, it's a lot easier than we might think. And it does not have to be scary if that's where we're at today. Now, it's okay if that's how you feel. Just know that I'm going to take you through a process this weekend that's going to help remove a lot of that. And we're going to show you how we do what we do, the way we do it. And I hope to see you guys there. Benjamin Blair on Zoom World. Yeah, that's exactly it. We're all going to meet on Zoom, and we're going to go through this course together. It's very practical. We're going to give you some hands-on experience as well. This isn't just going to be a passive course where I'm going to talk the whole time. We're going to really show you what's the potential of stock trading. What do people do? What do people make when they stock trade, right? How do we really do this hands-on, putting the skill set into practice, and ultimately going through that entire process together so that you feel like by the time this course is done, you know how to use it, right? You know how to use this entire process. So appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being on tonight. Again, tag a friend. If there's somebody out there, you know what? They really need to hear this right now. We don't just want to equip you. We want to cover you. We want to encourage you. That is who we are. That is what we do. So maybe there's somebody out there, man, they need some of that encouragement. They need some of that direction. Maybe they're interested. You hear them talking about investments in markets and stocks and crypto and who knows what. Send this on over to them, because certainly we can help them move forward in their journey as well. Again, I appreciate you guys, and thanks so much for being on, and good night.